at the end of the day, aside from acting, aside from filmmaking, all these things, we have one life. And it's very important as humans in general to live a life they want to live. Uh, you know, as actors, we really just have that I'm going to act, I'm going to do this, but until it's full time, um, you a lot of us kind of put ourselves in positions or jobs that we don't want to be in or that we would never be in if we weren't pursuing this career. Um, so I really think it's important to remember we have one life, and we don't know when we're going to go, and we should really enjoy every part of it. And if you're not enjoying a certain aspect of your life, don't forget that we have an immense power to change and to change it.
If you're a professional actor challenged by an increasingly fragmented industry, then this podcast is for you. The Hollywood Actor Podcast is an anthology made up of the stories of actors building their bodies of work by redefining themselves, reframing their goals, and reevaluating their opportunities. No matter where we are in our careers, we're always looking to be inspired and to share ourselves across our community. This podcast will offer that opportunity to guests and listeners alike as we all discover what it means to be a working, professional, successful actor. This is Jamie Young, and you're listening to the Hollywood Actor Podcast. Today's guest is Lindsy Campbell. Lindsay's an actor, director, producer, bouncing between New York, New Mexico, and Los Angeles, having trained at the New York Conservatory for Dramatic Arts as an actor and the University of New Mexico as a filmmaker. Her acting credits include AMC's Longmire, the CW's The Messengers, and the 2019 short film The Short History of the Long Road. Keep an eye out for her work on the web series Girls Like Magic Season 2, and follow Lindsay on social media and at lindsaycampbell.com. Now let's talk with Hollywood actor Lindsy Campbell.
So Girls Like Magic, one of the stars is Julia Erringer, and I cast her in my film The Divorce last year. She played a supporting lead character, and we became really good friends, and she saw my body of work as a writer, director, producer, and they're coming up on season 2. They're going to start producing their season 2, and she asked me to come on as a producer, and I think I'm going to guest direct a episode, and fingers crossed, you guys will probably see me on the screen a little bit. So it was a really cool opportunity that I couldn't really say no to, and that's what we're doing.
No, that's great, and that's what put you back on my radar, because I know I'm bouncing very similarly to you between New York, Albuquerque, and Los Angeles. And so we've seen each other at a lot of parties and screenings and that type of thing. But I saw that you were posting about that the other day, Girls Like Magic, the web series. And I was interested how you were becoming involved in that. And that I was watching the first episode. It looked like it was extremely high quality.
Yeah, their first season is really amazing. Me being a part of the LGBTQ community was really impressed with the way they told this story of magic. I had never really seen a story about LGBTQ experiences really be told like the way they did with this story. So it was really refreshing. And when I saw it, I just kind of was in any way, I was like, I'm on board, whatever you guys need, I will help. So yeah, it's really great. If people want to go on, it's on Amazon. They put it together as a movie on Amazon, and then you can also watch it for free on YouTube. And it's just a really great story. So if anybody has time and they want to binge watch it and really fall in love with these characters, I highly suggest Girls Like Magic.
Sure, and I'll put that in the show notes. It's great how these web series that they're so versatile, and yeah, I've often thought, and I had a little web series about was called Between Figaro and Hope, and I stitched together the 60-second Instagram episodes. I think that's a great way to have content and then be able to kind of redistribute it through different avenues. It makes it such a versatile product, you know?
Absolutely. And especially with the direction we are going with screening and how things are slowly coming off of cable and now we can watch them on different platforms, Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, etc. um, and then obviously a lot of the shows that you can watch on cable or just end up on those platforms anyways, so it's really crazy, to grow up with VHS and only cable television and watch it transform into everything online. And it's so much more accessible. And I think it's such a better way to reach audiences.
Yeah, we really got our work cut out for us now. There's no excuses anymore, right?
Yeah, and it definitely makes the competition a lot steeper. Anyone can do anything these days on anything. I mean, you can shoot something really well on an iPhone. So, really, I think it's demanding people step up the content, step up the stories, what is the story about, and also step up what you're doing behind the camera. Um, so I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, there's so much of more of an opportunity to not just create your own content, but get a taste of what these other departments do, and not just get an appreciation for them, but find out how they touch upon the story making process and how your talents um, can come to bear within these different departments if you're helping to also produce a product, or like in your case, you were saying you might be able to direct a single episode of the upcoming season of that web series and potentially act in it. It allows us to have more skin in the game to really pursue these different avenues equally, and not shy away from them.
Yeah, you know, I started out solely as an actor, and I was so dung ho about it. And oh man, I was in New York, auditioning a lot, and just the roles for women, especially at that time, we're getting better, but especially at the time, I'm just like, what is this role? And I would look at my guy actor friends. I'm like, I want a role like that juicy, that complex. And they just kind of have these off to the side roles for girls my age. At the time I was 18 through 25 years old. So there really wasn't a lot um, being offered. So I just started writing. It propelled me to become a writer. I said, I want to write these roles for women and tell these stories about women's lives and show that side of thing. So, that side of things other than, you know, kind of that heterosexual male side of like perception of women. That's really what I saw. So, yeah, that's how I became a writer. And then I realized, well, then I should probably produce what I've written. And that's how I became a producer. And then I was like, well, no one really sees the story how I see it. So I'm going to direct it. And that's kind of how uh, I kind of just started doing all these things. And then after acting, that all happened after acting school in New York. And then after I produced my first short film, The Brazilian, which did really, really well, um, I went back to film school because I realized doing that film, I really didn't know a lot about behind the camera, just what I'd seen as an actress. And um, I guess with the Brazilian success, I really felt pushed to kind of just keep developing. And, you know, acting, unless you're a superstar, isn't really going to pay the bills all the time. And so I really found myself, let's just keep creating and keep creating. And I'm a really big believer on you reap what you sow. Um, So I didn't find myself really sowing any seeds as an actor. I would just be, looking at Actors Access and waiting for my agent to call me. And I felt that there was no control really, even though, you're booking, but when you're not booking, you can't create that role that's for you. Um, or even though they're out there, it's easier, I guess, yes, to create them yourself. And then create which roles you want to play. I want to play a character like this. And so you just create it and there you go. And then you're not waiting. So I find that to be, there's an advantage of kind of dancing across from in front of and behind the camera.
Mm. Did you find much of a community once you came out of drama school, like with a lot of your colleagues from the drama school? Because you went to the New York Conservatory for Dramatic Arts, correct?
Yes. We that school's private school's pretty small. So I think I graduated with 120 people, and a big core group of us are still very much in contact, and we're constantly supporting each other. We have our little Facebook page, and we all keep in contact. But for the most part, everyone from that school was not from New York. We all came from all over the world to New York. So a lot of people left or they went to LA. And over the years, I mean, oh my goodness, it's been 10 years since we graduated. Oh my gosh. Uh, it's been 10 years since we graduated. So everyone, you know, is kind of off doing their own thing. But there's still, because of social media, is that presence of support and community. Uh, yeah.
Yeah, because it can be scary when you come out of those programs, university or drama school, and you're just dumped in the middle of such a big market like New York City, and you're trying to find your way within the acting world.
Yeah, luckily they had a really great business class at NYCDA that really put the reins in our hands of how to attack the business, how to get your name out there. And then I studied with Anthony Abeson, who's an amazing coach out there for 2 years after I graduated. And he was just an amazing acting coach and also pushed us to get out there. He landed me my first manager and all kinds of fun stuff through that gentleman. So if anyone's in New York, look up Anthony Abeson. He's absolutely phenomenal. I know he was like kind of going viral on BuzzFeed for a while there. Um, so
Is
yeah,
he a teacher at NYCDA as well?
no, he does his own private stuff at the Producers Club on 46th Street and Ninth, I believe it is. Yeah, he has his classes. I think I was in Tuesday, Thursday class from 5 to 7, I think. It's been a while. But I highly suggest him. His students quite frequent are very, I see him everywhere. So I'm like, oh, he has his thing is no recipes, and he studied with Stella Adler and a bunch of the big time kind of people that were beyond, they had already been deceased by the time we came around. Um, and he kind of mixed all their kind of theories, acting theories up into one thing, and he just calls it No Recipes. And he has an amazing book out there that I suggest everyone read called Acting 2.0. It's really great.
And so you spent a couple of years after drama school trying to work on your own short films and plugging in a little bit to the industry with that coach and with a manager, and then you decided to go to film school.
Well, I had been acting in New York City for 3 years after I graduated, because while we were at school, we were not allowed to audition, because if you missed a class at our school, you would drop your grade would drop dramatically. They were very much about punctuality and being there to really train that, as you go into the industry, like you got to be 15 minutes early, at least. Don't, if you miss a job, you're probably never going to work again, or that's the fear. So they really kind of drove that into our brains and implemented that type of mentality into their attendance at school. So we weren't allowed to audition, but for those 3 years after, um, yes, I was booking commercials, independent films, things like that. But again, it was all the roles I was going on, and I mean, I was going out for roles like whore number one, whore number two, or like prostitute, or I think one of the biggest things that really kind of set me off was big boobed bimbo, and I was like, wow, these are the titles, for these TV series or things like that, these independent films. So that's really kind of what urged me. I was like, absolutely not. Like, we need to have uh, better representation. So that's what propelled me to write my first little film, The Brazilian. Um, yeah, and it's about two girls, Polly and Claire, and uh, basically Polly's kind of this introverted Jewish girl. We shot it in New York City. Amazing, amazing actresses out there. Uh, and yeah, it's basically a slapstick comedy about a girl who gives herself her own Brazilian bikini wax. So,
Successfully.
uh I think that depends. I think you should watch the film. It's 8 minutes. It's on YouTube. It's a fun little ride. Um,
And that really precipitated going to film school because you wanted to get a little bit more of a technical approach to how you had been making these short films, these web series, these independent projects.
well, really, what it was when we got, especially, well, even on set and in post production. Uh, I had no idea what the heck I was talking about. I did not know how to communicate to my crew what I wanted. I didn't know what Premiere could do. I didn't know what Avid could do, these editing programs. I didn't know what a stinger was or what sticks were or all these, special kind of jargon names that the industry has brought up that I needed to be able to just say at the, oh, we need this, we need this. And so yeah, that's what propelled me to go back to film school, because I'm like, I need to know how to communicate with my crew to create my vision. And then also I need to know what these programs and everything do. And then at that time, after the Brazilian, I had moved to uh, well, it's kind of weird. I moved to New Mexico, and then I was back and forth. I was living in both places for another 2 years after that, until I decided to go to film school. And then I decided to go to film school at UNM, which was one of the best decisions of my life when I was looking at film schools, because A, the price, B, all their equipment, um, you know, film, it doesn't matter. It matters who's behind the camera. It doesn't matter what the camera is, but we had access to everything. Yeah, I learned all the editing programs, After Effects. I kind of learned as much as I could. I did a lot of 16 millimeter film, and that was interesting because I went back. I was like, I need to go back even further. So at that time, I'd already been making movies. So when I went back to film school, I made each little project my own little film. Like, I would hire actors. I did SAG contracts, SAG student film shoots, and my teachers were kind of always tripped out by me because of how far I would take it. And, all the other students, I can't say 70% of them, 75% of them were just not as, I'd say, serious. Or maybe I also went back to school, at an older age. So I had more, I'd say, like, I'm going to make this work for myself. And I don't think people at that early age who are trying to kind of discover themselves and like, oh, is film something I even really want to do? Like, would take it to the extent that I did. Because I saw
Yeah,
it.
but you knew what you wanted to get out of the program because you've
Correct.
been out in the field.
Correct. And I suggest that for people. If I'm so happy I took a break, I'm so happy I really made sure that this is what I was going to do in life. And I didn't just go and be like, you know what, film's not for me and kind of waste that money, waste that time. I really highly suggest that no matter what profession people are going in, really take your time and really, spend that time cultivating your craft, whatever craft it may be, because it's very important. School does cost a lot of money. Still paying off my student debt from my second go around. So I think that it's very important.
Yeah, and from my perspective, in the Western world, it seems like college, university is that substitute for growth, that experimentation. We're not quite out in the world, but we're not quite living at home with our parents, going to grade school. It's so many people are undeclared or doing undergraduates and things that they may not pursue even in graduate school, let alone in life. And so many people in America, they jump from these different career paths. On average, it's 7 different careers that Americans have. Yeah, if you do know what you want to do and you go to that trade school, that's what I kind of looked at, like drama school and film school. These are kind of these more trade oriented schools where you know what you want to do. You're steeped with those colleagues as you're learning something extremely technical, and then you can go out in the field practice it. And then like you did, and I know others, they go back to school after a few years out in the field because they have to have that real world experience to learn even more precisely what they want to do within the industry.
Oh, yeah. And then also being in an industry that you don't want to be in, like the service industry for me. I served tables for 12 years. I no longer do that because I'm the digital media director at a company. So after I got that after I graduated. So I love my job. I create commercials and all this fun stuff for a living. But yeah, when you're, put on that server outfit every day and you look in the mirror and you're like, wow, I this is not anything I want to do. It will really motivate you to figure out what you want to do and go out there and tackle it.
That's what I do recommend to especially young actors, because right, we're all trying to find those very flexible jobs so we can call out or accept jobs when we need to. But to be able to find, especially actors, something that is within the film industry that we can be proud of, and it's something that's an offshoot that we're also nurturing as a parallel skill set, or even not just a side hustle, but a parallel career in certain ways. I find that's a successful way to go in some of these markets, and it sounds like it's an extremely successful way to go for yourself.
Absolutely, because at the end of the day, aside from acting, aside from filmmaking, all these things, we have one life. And it's very important as humans in general to live a life they want to live. You know, as actors, we really just have that I'm going to act, I'm going to do this, but until it's full time, um, you a lot of us kind of put ourselves in positions or jobs that we don't want to be in or that we would never be in if we weren't pursuing this career. Um, so I really think it's important to remember we have one life, and we don't know when we're going to go, and we should really enjoy every part of it. And if you're not enjoying a certain aspect of your life, don't forget that we have an immense power to change and to change it.
Yeah, and for something you love to do to lock you into such unhappiness, that seems doubly sad.
Yeah, I think we forget, or at least I did, and every time I'd be reminded, I was like, okay, I got to change, and then I would change and I'd do it, and um, you know, just that reminder that in certain times, especially as an actor, like, oh, I don't have control over my career or this or that. You do. You 100% do. I'm a big believer in manifestation and again in reaping what you sow. Like do the work. Uh, whatever work it may be, do it. If you have to sit there for hours on end and submit yourself to Actors Access, do it. If you need better headshots, do it. If you need a better slate shot, do it. Who cares? If go out there and just do, and then you will reap all of that. I promise. You need to get in acting workshops, and then give back. Don't forget to give back. uh, you know, Go teach acting to special needs groups or do some community theater. It's I know a lot of people are like, oh, I won't do anything for free anymore. And it's like, well, why not? Because when I first started out, I did so much for free. So like, why does that change all of a sudden? Like, we get kind of like we start booking these TV shows and these really cool projects, and we're like, oh, I'm not going to go backwards. And it's like, you know, there's a give and take.
Yeah. It sounds like you knew what you wanted to do. You wanted to go back to film school to get more of that holistic to help fill your artistic and business life to help maybe round that out a little bit more. And then you found more of those opportunities while studying in New Mexico?
Well, yes. I mean, I think the price of living, because I bounce back and forth. I'm in New York a lot. I've been in LA a lot. But I really didn't see the opportunities in New Mexico because of the community there, the price of living, how I'm just okay, I'm kind of unique. When I was in New York, I was like, wow, all my money goes to rent. And who collects my rent? Okay, my landlord. What does my landlord do for me? Absolutely nothing. You know what I want to be? A landlord. Um, so I started researching real estate and I realized I wanted to invest in multifamily homes. I realized at the time there was no way I could do that in New York City because um, I was like in my early 20s and I was like, nope, can't do that. So I started saving up money and my game plan was to leave, go to Albuquerque, because just the price of living there, I could actually buy something there. And I bought my first multifamily home. And what I did was, uh, I live in one unit and my other two units not only pay my mortgage, but I make a significant amount of money off of them. And that's because I realized, as an actor, as a filmmaker, you need time to audition. I was so tired of living paycheck to paycheck in New York. And I'm like, you know what? I need some kind of like stability and foundation. And how do I find that in this craft? So I really found that real estate was a really great avenue. So that is how I kind of that was actually the first step. Was I live for free and I make money off the house that I live in while obtaining an asset, and it just feels good. It looks good. I own something. Um, and then that just kind of kept growing, and I kept investing with partners and things like that on different buildings. So that's what has really enabled me to have freedom as an artist, whether I'm creating or I need to, before with the auditioning the way it is, you get your audition tomorrow or the next day and you have to completely rearrange your life really quickly. And before that was really hard. Like, oh, I'd have to call these people and have someone cover my bartending shift or whatever it may be. And now I'm like, cool, got it. Like, that's fine. Cause I don't need, I'm not worried about my finances at this point, which is nice. And so that was the first step for me, coming from New York. And when it comes to opportunities, I just think that in New Mexico, I do see myself within the next 5 years actually leaving. I most likely will go back to New York. I'm not a fan necessarily of I guess I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm originally from New York, but LA, the whole traffic scene, it just kills me. Like, I'd rather have my head stuck in someone's armpit during rush hour subway traffic than like sitting there doing nothing. Um, I think that, there's pros and cons to both places, but I'm your typical Sagittarius, and just sitting doing nothing would drive me nuts.
Yeah, and I guess you can listen to the Hollywood Actor podcast whether you're in traffic or on the subway. So
True.
you did start when you came to New Mexico. You did start looking at LA. I know there is that kind of pipeline from El Paso to Albuquerque to Los Angeles. But is that when you started kind of bouncing around between all those markets, LA, Albuquerque, New York?
Um, I did a film in LA. Oh gosh, I think 2013 or 14. That's when I first went to LA. But really, I started bouncing back and forth. So my last semester when I graduated, I was bartending at Hotel Andalus, and I met the director of 12 Strong. Um, and him and I, uh, he was there for a whole month before the whole cast and everyone came in for production, doing location scoutings. And um, one of my good friends, thank goodness, was just like, "Hey, that's Lindsay Campbell. Do you know who she is?" Because we weren't really allowed with our contracts at the hotel to like kind of talk more than what the person that you're talking to with is. I couldn't just like kind of go push myself on all these celebrities and be like, "Hey, I'm Lindsay Campbell, I'm an actor, like you should look at my stuff." But my good friend did, and he ended up looking at my stuff and invited me to shadow him uh, on the set of 12 Strong. And that, I think, was one of the biggest opportunities that came my way through New Mexico that I can say really kind of jumped my career. Because then I met actor Navid Negaban on the set, and Navid had read my short film, The Divorce. He saw The Brazilian and a couple of other my stuff, and he really liked my work. So then he read The Divorce and was thought it was really good. So he said he wanted to play the lead, and that kind of was like, whoa. And then I had to work around his schedule, which was difficult because the guy's booking all the time. Um, and last May, we finally sealed down the 4 days and shot The Divorce, and it's doing really well. It's won, I think, 3 awards thus far. It's been nominated. We're right now, we have 2 film festivals coming up in New York, and we're just kind of sitting, waiting to see what film festivals it gets into. So it's just really exciting. And then, we have distributors calling, and it's just nuts. So I think that was my biggest opportunity, was that, and I'm super grateful for it. Because then, I'm at the 12 Strong premiere, and I'm meeting Matt Damon and all these amazing people, and really kind of getting those connections. Jerry Bruckheimer, uh, it's kind of it was one of my wildest dreams kind of come true that I didn't expect ever.
And that didn't get you excited about Hollywood?
I think Hollywood's fantastic, but I find, like, I've been there several times. I find that, if Hollywood wants you, they will call and they will bring you out. And I'm sure I will be there doing, I'm have the Girls Like Magic that's happening in LA. I'll definitely be there and scope it out, more on like a long term basis. Uh, so I don't really knock anything till I try it. So it's definitely obviously still on the horizon. I mean, in this industry, you have LA, New York, Chicago, Atlanta, and New Mexico, and those are your choices.
But it's good. Like like you've been pursuing the opportunities, pushing on the doors that open. I've talked to a lot of actors that they really recommend that as opposed to banging your head against a brick wall. That's never going to open. You, you and I meet a lot of actors that they do try these markets. They say, they're from suburban Los Angeles, and they finally do make the move to Hollywood. And they say, well, when I was making those day trips, it came across as something that I'd be interested in, but the day-to-day life of a Hollywood actor is just not for me. And now we can afford to find those different locations for ourselves. We can afford to try out a new city much more easily than we ever could. We can send in a self-tape to Atlanta. We can do a national tour. I think those opportunities are so much more plentiful, and I think we really need to take advantage of them and find out what market and how traveling does suit us.
Right. We're so much more globalized and it's so much easier and cheaper to travel these days. But I really think the biggest thing is as an artist, it's your work that gets you places. You can be in LA and not get anywhere. You can be in New York and not get anywhere. I know so many of those people. I really think honing in on your craft and constantly pushing yourself and really doing good work is what's going to get you places, which is what's going to get you noticed. It's not going to be sitting there waiting for the phone to ring. It's really going to be putting yourself out there and meeting these people because, the famous line, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And you're not going to meet these people that have the power and ability to support your craft if you're not out there in the community doing these things. um, I think that's the biggest thing is, again, going back to people. This whole craft is about people. It's about telling um, human stories, and it's a collective art form. um, so it makes sense that we need to have a human collective outside of it to really, make that happen. Um,
That's much more natural too. I think that the industry is so digital and so fragmented now that yes, we can do things and we can stay in contact, but how do we really make sure that we do that on a regular basis? How do we do that on various Facebook pages, or make sure that people are regularly in our lives? And that's one of my final questions to actors on the podcast is how do they, if they are based in a market or they're traveling, how do they let people know what they're doing? How do they stay plugged in to their version of the industry?
oh wow. It's probably definitely an area that I could strengthen. I guess a part of me doesn't like, especially, I guess before I would do it a lot in the sense of this is what I'm doing and this is where I'm at, because those moments would come so seldom. And I'd be like, oh, like I need to tell everyone what's going on because I don't know the next time this is going to happen. um, but now, because I live this, I I don't see I don't do anything except act and direct and produce. Like that's all I do. That's what pays the bills pretty much. Um, but I think so I've kind of slacked off on that because I don't want to see it as kind of bragging because I'm always kind of on set. I'm always in front of or behind the camera kind of doing these things. But I think a part of just that simple, hey, I'm going to be in LA for a week, or hey, I'm in New Mexico doing um, this or that, hit me up. I think it's just kind of that communication. I always send out a thing when I'm going to New York so I can meet up with my peeps again. In fact, this actor started following me on Instagram from New York. I've never met him, but he studied with Anthony Abeson and he went to a competitive school against NYCDA, which is William Esper. And, um, you know, uh, we just kind of started talking, and we're going to meet up when I'm in New York for the film festival this summer, because not only do I as a director want to broaden you know, my pool of actors that I know when I start the casting process, but, creating those relationships. And social media is such a great tool. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, just kind of constantly putting your stuff out there. And just if anyone kind of, you know, I guess is attracted to it or like comments on it. And I can't say anyone because we all know there's those small pool of kind of creepers out there. But once you kind of do your research and you know who that person is, yeah, I think it's great. And it's a great thing to be able to just kind of meet up and um, get coffee or have like a lunch with new people. And that would have never happened without Instagram. And that was just from a post of, hey, we made it to the new filmmakers film festival in June. You know, if you're in New York, come on out.
Yeah, just blasting on your Facebook or Instagram, like you were saying, on your social media. But you also are collecting these different people, these different skill sets, personalities that are contributing to your production company, which is an excellent vehicle, I think, that helps people stay in your business slash life. Can you talk a little bit about your production company?
Sure. It's Eldica Productions. Um, oh gosh, it's really taken off this year. I just booked 4 regional national commercials, and I just wrapped those up. Um, and that all came, again, every single one of my opportunities has just come from just creating, and people seeing it and being like, wow, I really like that. I like that work. It's solid. I'm going to hire you to do this. So that's all I can say. And I just kind of wrap everything into my production company. But I really think, it's kind of weird. I'm not going to lie. Like every kind of how everything's evolving for me, especially in the last 3 months, has been really weird, because before I was just kind of an actor out there looking for, uh, someone like me to be like, hey, put me in your film and like, let's become friends and let's collaborate and work together and all these things. And now I'm kind of becoming that person that people are kind of seeking out to have that relationship with. My branch over to producing and creating, I have just found to be a great thing, like a hub to bring all of that together. Um, because I've just met so many amazing actors through the years, and some of them don't book and no one knows why. But when I have that character with the script in my hand, or this next commercial, or this next film I'm doing, I know exactly who. Um, or I'll write it with that person in mind, because you know I you know I think they've worked hard, and it's like, oh, this would be a great role for them. And also, I think like role bending, where you cast someone that you would typically cast in a certain role, but you cast completely different. Like for Navid, even, that role was written for a Caucasian American dad. That's how I always saw it. And when Navid comes in and goes, I want to play this role, it really changed the whole film. It changed the whole casting. Then I had to cast, you know, the children to look like him and a Caucasian uh, American female. And then I got to play with, uh, you know, multi-ethnic families, which was never perceived for that film upon writing ever. So I really think it's been amazing, the whole production company. And again, also giving Navi the opportunity to play a role that he's never cast in. He's never cast as the American dad because he's Iranian, and usually playing a villain of some type. Uh, So I really think having those opportunities too, to just kind of cast outside of a norm of what we're usually seeing for those roles is a great opportunity.
But you're creating that opportunity for yourself and for those around you, which is helping to push everybody's creativity and helping to maintain that sense of that micro community, those people that are associated to Lindsay Campbell, that are associated to that production company. I think we're all searching for a greater sense of community, a truer sense, because people talk about community and giving back. And I think there is a sense of a much more real sense of people not investing in individuals over a longer period of time. Especially, ironically, I find in acting. There's a lot of times where we just plug in as opposed to we are being invested in as humans and as actors over a longer period of time. And that's something personally that I'm trying to work on. I'm trying to find those people that I resonate with and trying to build those relationships because I think that people are
Absolutely.
worth
And,
investing in.
I did that, I think, at first as an actor as well, but you're not going to get anywhere if you're just a cog in the wheel. Well, if that cog's gone, we're just going to replace it. But to actually be a part of the wheel, I mean, Adam Sandler, he really kind of, I am just thinking of a bigger name that's done it. A lot of people have done it, but he has been creating movies for a long time. He created really great work. He really got his genre down, and he casted all of his friends, and continues to cast them because, it's that type of community that I think is needed to keep going. Because really, I mean, I'm a big, obviously, supporter in indie film. It's not until you have millions and millions and millions of dollars to just kind of cast whoever you want and go around. But if you want to create that community, you really have to have a foundation in people, and actors have to be a part of that. And and you can make yourself part of that. You don't have to be just some random cog. You can be like a spoke on the wheel. This wheel can't turn without this actor.
Yeah, I love that, and I actually I really love that metaphor of the wheel, right? And then and what you said about having a production company as being a hub of that wheel. I think that's something to aspire to as an actor, kind of going forth into the world as more as an entrepreneur, a filmmaker, and
Yeah,
less
because
as that
really,
individual
cogs
cog.
can be replaced. Another metaphor, when I got behind the camera, especially, and casting, as a production, it does not matter who that actor is. As long as they look the part and can act a little bit, it doesn't matter who they are. Um, you're kind of the cherry on top of this huge ice cream sundae. No, I mean, yeah, the cherry looks pretty, and that's the actor. Um, but it's what we really want is that chocolate, vanilla strawberry at the bottom. We want those bananas. Like, that's what really holds it all together. And I think uh, that going back to the wheel, uh, you can make yourself more than just a cherry. You can make yourself more than just this cog that can be replaced, and it doesn't matter. You can really uh, make yourself like a spoke. And like, me as a producer, you know what? I can't really make a movie without this person and without these people in my community, because they've supported me through it. I think that's the biggest thing, is like, as we create these little communities and we keep going towards Hollywood, because that is ultimately the goal. People are gonna work with people they trust and people who have supported them over the years. It doesn't matter who could play that role. No, Jamie's gonna play this role, or whoever's gonna play this role. Wanna know why? Because they've been there when I wasn't some big time director, big time producer, big time whatever. And so as the wheel keeps turning and going up the mountain, everyone makes it to the top.
Thanks for listening to the Hollywood Actor Podcast. If you enjoy this content, don't forget to rate and review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening.